we're recording live.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today, we are talking about marine mammal rescue here on the Pacific Coast. Our guest today, head veterinarian and director of animal health at Vancouver Aquarium. Check out the new show that they got going on, Wild Pacific Rescue. Please welcome Dr. Marty Haulena. Hey, Marty, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks
Did
for
I
inviting me
almost
along.
get your last name correct?
I
think
don't
may
even
have
hear it
butchered
anymore. I don't even know how to say it. It's all good.
Well, thank you. It's so good to have you on the show. Thanks so much for checking in and stopping by.
Yeah, so good. So much fun.
Yeah, this is great. We really appreciate it. But first on our show, what we do is we do something called Two Truths and a Lie.
Okay.
And so I've got a couple of points here that Marty has sent over, and then a couple of other ones that may have just come out of the blue. So Devin and I are going to have to pick which is the lie out of these items. So number one, I have worked with Steve Irwin.
Oh, sweet.
Mr. Crocodile. Okay. And number two, I have a marine biology PhD. Okay. Another one here. I'm an amazing shot with an elastic band. Wonder at how many yards that is. And I live on an island where I shred on the guitar.
Nice. Oh man. Okay. Well,
a lie.
I'm believing in Steve Irwin here. I'm believing in the PhD as per the name. I'm gonna go with your terrible shot with a rubber band.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, I think the rubber band too. Rubber band man. Rubber band and get down. Yeah.
Is this where I spoil it?
This is where you spoil it.
Oh yeah. No, I am. That's my stupid human trick. I am absolutely incredible.
God.
Yeah. No, I can pick off a fly at 20 feet with an elastic band without a problem at all. Yeah. No, I have to say that's the only thing I can do really well. Yeah. No, I guess the lie there is I don't have a PhD. A lot of people think I'm a marine biologist, but I'm actually not. I'm a doctor of veterinary medicine, so I'm a veterinarian primarily, and I happen to work with marine species. Yeah, but I get a lot of questions about how do you become a marine biologist? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you Google? I don't know. And then to my marine biology friends, because I do obviously work with a lot of marine biologists, my favorite thing to say to them is what does the marine biologist say once they've gotten their PhD in marine biology? Anyone know? No?
Yeah.
Do you want fries with that?
Yeah.
And that's the veterinary joke there.
And it's funny. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, and as far as Steve Irwin, I was very fortunate to work with him some years ago. Developing a show called New Breed Vets, and we did a couple of episodes with him when I worked in California at the Marine Mammal Center. And
that's right.
Yeah, no, and he ended up being a terrific guy. I have to say, I had a lot of trepidation because he's crikey, and I get
it's
I was going to kill us and him at the same time. But he actually was an absolute gentleman and incredibly passionate about the world around him and the animals. Yeah, very very good gentleman.
Yeah, just a great. Yeah, I mean he had a great persona on TV too, right? He was just like this guy wrestling crocodiles and whatever it was. It was just he really kind of broke ground, I think, on TV. Other than way back where it was like was it not Perkins, whatever the Wild, what was Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom. Yeah,
that's my era, right?
That's my era too.
But
Jacques Cousteau, he's one of my big heroes,
inspirations for me.
Yeah, it's funny that you said the whole marine biology thing, because I wanted to be a marine biologist. My whole thing, I wanted to be a marine biologist since I was a kid.
I did too.
I got my scuba diving ticket when I was like 17, and I was like doing all this stuff. And then my dad happened to be in this environmental mapping business, right? So we were doing environmental mapping around the world. And I'm like, well, I want to be a marine biologist. So he had a buddy of his take me to the Marine Institute in Pat Bay, right, on Vancouver Island. And I thought, but he was an oceanographer. And he took me around. I'm like, this is oceanography. I thought oceanography was marine biology. He says, no, we spend 6 months out on a ship and we map the floor of the ocean. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. I want to be a marine biologist. And it just never happened. I ended up just traveling and mapping, doing a lot of mapping around the world for environmental sensitivities. But that was my whole thing. I wanted to be, I don't know, does everybody want to be a marine biologist? It always, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, and I did too. As I said, Jacques Cousteau was such a huge
Yeah,
influence. Flipper, the TV show, was
Flipper.
huge
Flipper.
for me, and then I had incredibly gracious parents that we grew up in Ottawa, so invariably did the snowbird run to Florida every year. I had an uncle that lived there,
Right.
and I'd make them stop at every roadside, anything to do with animals, but particularly dolphins or fish or anything. So those were my inspirations. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So, absolutely, I wanted to be a marine biologist until I figured out that all marine biologists really do, and again, this is mostly a joke, I'm just kidding around, is count things. And whether it's algae or whales, they essentially count things.
Yeah.
And I found out very quickly that I was a kind of a hands-on, working with an individual animal, looking at the bigger picture through the lens of each individual animal kind of guy, and very, very much interested in the medical side of things, problem solving, that kind of quick return on investment when you're a physician or a veterinarian, where
Right.
There's always feedback on how you're doing with a patient, and I like that a lot.
Yeah. So with the marine mammal, rescue, what you guys are doing there. So you're based out of the Vancouver Aquarium, and so how long? So you're the largest organization. Is it in Canada that does what you do? Is that right?
Yeah, exactly right. And we are the Marine Mammal Rescue Center is part of the Vancouver Aquarium. They fall in under
Yeah.
the veterinary department. Absolutely. We are off-site though. Our facility is off Main Street in downtown on the docks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are without a doubt the largest facility of its kind in Canada. Certainly the only one that's dedicated to marine mammal rescue. And I think on a world scale, we're probably about fourth or fifth in terms of numbers of animals, diversity of species we respond to, and the size of our staff and capability. But yeah, so we're quite a significant program now. Yeah.
Wow, my God. So what are the kind of typical mammals that you're helping, and what's happening? So is it are they sick, or are they caught in fishing nets or in plastic that's kind of wrapped around?
Yeah,
or is it just a myriad of all sorts of things, I guess?
Exactly. It's all of the above. Our number one patient, so in terms of numbers, are steel pups. Come end of June, July, actually starting soon, we will get a number of harbor seal pups that are found mostly in urban areas, and it's really an urban wildlife kind of human interference thing that we respond to. So animals are trying to do what they need to do, have pups on docks in urban beaches, and not being allowed to do that sort of thing. So they oh, where'd you get that?
I just popped this up because just yeah, so then we can get some photographs of what you're doing here too.
Exactly right. So harbor seal pups, usually less than 72 hours old, are our number one patient. We might get between 100 and 150 of those animals live stranded a year brought into our facility. And then absolutely, we do a lot of stuff in the wild, in the field, particularly on disentanglement with sea lions. That's probably our biggest free ranging program that we deal with. Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go, harbor seals, and there's the crew.
Sorry. Yeah.
What does the process look like when you get one of these like hurt or like lost little seal pups? Like what do you start with?
A call from the public. So everything we respond to is something that's been called into us or the Department of Fisheries and Oceans stranding hotline about something that they're worried about. So that's where it starts, and then our team will answer that call. A lot of time is spent making sure we're not interfering with animals doing normal things. So, for example, harbor seal pups, they are normally on their own on a beach waiting for mom to come by, and they're supposed to blend into the rocks and the sand and not move, so people come across them, and of course they look at them with big black eyes and go right? And so people automatically assume there's something wrong. So we spend a lot of time getting people not to interfere with wildlife. So our folks on the phone have a series of questions, work through problems, figure out what the condition of those animals is, and then if they are in need, and often they are, then we'll figure out a way to bring them to our facility. And then, yeah, animals out in the field, again, same sort of thing. Usually we respond to a report of an entangled animal, either from fisheries officers, whale watchers, or the public. Yeah.
It was kind of interesting. I go with some old high school buddies every year to Valdez Island, and a friend of mine's got a little cabin right on the point on, is it Polier Pass? I don't know, but it's where the water runs really quickly through, and we sit on the point and drink beer and whatnot. And there's a lot of seals, and we get some sea lions kind of in there as well. And it's really interesting because I always thought that these guys were, I'd see it all the time. I thought they were injured, but it was like a sea lion, and he was like
Got a
floating,
question?
and he would have his,
Got
it
a
was like
question.
he would have his arm up, right?
Yeah.
And he'd be like floating in the water, like he had a question. Exactly.
That may, in fact, be one of our most common rescue calls, is the sea lion with a question. So we do get that, and they're thermoregulating, right? So they're just essentially sleeping. They've got that big sail up in the air, and that's catching heat or dissipating heat, whatever they need to do, and they're just sort of resting, sleeping, and keeping their toes warm.
Really interesting, because I was like, we have to call the animal rescue because this guy's injured and he's floating there. Yeah, it's like, and then we'd see it again and again. I'm like, hang on a second, he's doing this on purpose.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's exactly what our team does, is spend a lot of time on calls like that. Just reassuring everyone. No, that's normal. Please,
right?
Please don't go bother them. Yeah. Don't try and catch it. That'd be good.
That's good. And then I see you're here in the photographs. So we got some photographs up on the screen here. I'm just showing as well. Yeah. So you're here with a like a sea turtle. And
yeah, that's an Olive Ridley's sea turtle, and So for whatever reason, sea turtles fall into the same jurisdiction as marine mammals as far as response and federal regulatory authority. So we do sea turtle rescue as well. Not too many up here, obviously. They're typically a warm kind of tropical species, but they do get caught up in currents that are going the wrong direction, and so cold stunning is the scenario we're faced with, and we get probably one every year or two. And this guy, this is Bernie Stranders, if I recall correctly, and so we did manage to bring him over the border during COVID.
Yeah.
And down to San Diego for release, but that on its own was quite an effort during COVID.
So he sorry, Deb, go ahead.
Yeah.
Or do you keep tabs on them once you release them?
Yeah. So every pinniped, so that's every seal or sea lion that comes through our facility, gets a flipper tag. Those tags don't last too long. They kind of work themselves out probably within a year or two, but there's some relatively short-term follow-up. So particularly if an animal washes up, passed away, that's when we'll learn about that. We don't get too many, maybe one every couple of years someone finds. But we do satellite transmitters on a number of animals. Those will last a little bit longer. In the case of the sea turtle, we will put a transmitter that's just glued with epoxy onto the shell. On seals and sea lions, we'll glue transmitters onto the hair coat. So they'll last usually 6 months to a year tops before the animals molt. Yeah, so we can, but they're expensive, so we tend to use those for special species, special conditions, or if we've got a research project that we're particularly interested in.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, we see it on TV, we see it on the internet, we see the seals with the plastic around their neck. They've either grown into it or they just could never get it off. So do you find, that because I mean, we're in the Pacific here, so we have Vancouver, we have Seattle, we have some, fairly big cities on the ocean. How do you find like marine debris and things like that? Is there a lot of marine debris out here, where we are, and is the wildlife, having issues like this guy here in the photograph with the plastic around his neck.
Yeah, that's our friend Buckethead, who's actually in one of our TV episodes. I won't spoil what happened with him, but
Right.
yeah, we certainly do have a problem. Now, we are very fortunate. I'll call it the Salish Sea. I like that name right now.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the inland waters that are, where Seattle and Vancouver is. I think we have about 8 or 9 million people now living in the Salish Sea. So without a doubt, we are affecting our local environment. Now, it's still relatively nice and relatively pristine compared to some areas, but it
Yeah.
is a vulnerable ecosystem without a doubt.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely, we've got some garbage pollution. We work with a biologist on Vancouver Island named Wendy Sanislow, who's figured out that at any one period of time we might have up to 400 sea lions in BC alone that have some degree of garbage entrapped on them.
Wow. Really?
And then some of the things we worry about even more are
Ingesting or?
yeah, actually, so it's interesting. So plastic ingestion is not a huge issue for the species we deal with. For some sea turtles, it is a big deal. From seabirds, it's a huge deal for sure. But for marine mammals, it's somewhat of a smaller deal. But yeah, absolutely, we've had huge whales like sperm whales with gear inside them and stuff. It can definitely be a thing. I guess one thing we worry about more is pathogen pollution. So the spread of agents that can cause disease from a terrestrial to a marine environment, where they might be a relatively novel kind of thing that an animal's immune system might not be able to recognize. So we've got protozoal infections that are popping up in our marine wildlife that are linked to terrestrial wildlife. We've got a fungus called cryptococcosis, which is traditionally a land-borne fungal disease that affects humans and other things it's now cropping up in marine mammals as well. Certainly, algal blooms caused by increased nutrients that are entering the sea through our sewage and agricultural runoff are an increasing problem as well. So those are kind of the issues where we work in as well.
Yeah, and then on the news last night, I saw. I mean, this is a little bit off, outside what's to do with the fish. Is the salmon farms, right? The salmon farms now, they've actually correlated, the whatever it was, the pathogens, whatever it is being able to transfer from the farm salmon to the wild salmon. There was something there too. So all these things are, that are going on, with our marine environment. It's so what have I got here? I've got a Marine Mammal Rescue Day that you guys had. So this is your TV show, right? Your Wild Pacific Rescue.
Yeah, I believe that April 27th is Marine Mammal Rescue Day. I didn't, there's a day for everything, so who knew? But yeah, I think our.
So was that the day that the show was aired?
No,
No?
I don't think so, but they certainly promoted things on that day. Yeah.
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this guy here. So these ones are the ones that grab everybody's heartstrings, right? They see the little sea otter, the little baby fuzzy guy getting nursed back to health.
That looked like Joey there, who was a very famous patient of ours. Yeah, and then below, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's one of our adult seals that was in quite a bit more, or excuse me, adult sea otters that was in quite a bit more distress. Yeah.
And I heard we were in Tofino. We did a kayak trip in Tofino a couple of years ago, and we went out and we visited all the sea otters, and they were all linked together, and like they're hanging out in a big circle, linked arms almost, racked together. Yeah. But I didn't know. I don't know if this is true or not. Sea otters actually stay in the sea. They don't actually really come ashore at all or that much, where we have river otters are the guys that we see running around on the shoreline. I don't know if is that right?
Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah. Sea otters are highly marine adapted. They rarely, if ever, haul out. Down here and through California, if they haul out, it can actually indicate a problem. In Alaska, they're more apt to haul out for whatever reason. Their behavior is a little bit more. You will see them on the shoreline. And then we've got marine adapted North American river otters that sometimes people call us about, saying, "Oh, there's a sea otter." We're like, no, it's a river otter. The sea otters are very limited in distribution here in BC, but river otters are quite widely distributed. Yeah.
Right. So I just want to flash. So this is what I've dealt with all my life since I was 16 years old, right? Is oil spills. So I was fortunate enough to travel. We're very lucky here. I mean, we've had some bad oil spills, quite a few years back, but in a lot of the world, then you get your little sea otter, like this duck in the corner here.
Yeah.
They just get covered in the oil, and just horrific. And then Devin and I and our family, we were in Indonesia. There, we're surfers. I'm a bad surfer. These guys are pretty good surfers. Hey, Dev. and what what really ticked us off is that we'd seen, you look in the magazines, you look at the best surf spots in the world and the cleanest, pristine oceans, or you look on Instagram and Twitter and these incredible places. So we were hunting out. We were trying to do an endless summer surfish trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were shocked that every time it rained, they have fairly big rains in Southeast Asia, the ocean would fill with garbage, and we'd be paddling in, and the garbage would be stuck in our skegs of our surfboards, and you couldn't catch a wave. And I'm like, hang on a second, I saw on Instagram this is supposed to be beautiful, but when you actually get to some of these places, it's quite horrific. And we saw it all over the world, which was really shocking. And because of that, I'll just go really quickly. We started a little app, Devin and I,
Right.
and Kina, my daughter, started an app called True Beach, where you could report ocean garbage on beaches, for the general public to use, and then groups. And actually, this is Lily Woodbury from Surfrider Pacific Rim, based in
Right.
Tofino, and so we kind of work with those guys. And so we just felt it really kind of something that the world needs to see. And we've done some beach cleanups and stuff.
Yeah, no,
and
you're
the
absolutely right.
the ocean, like the pollution in the oceans, there we go, we're all back there. Like what we've seen, we're very fortunate to live on the Pacific coast here, and we think that our oceans are, we see them, they're clean. I mean, they're relatively clean. Friends go to Mexico, and I say, hey, could you take pictures of the beaches to show any pollution, and let's report it. And the typical answer is, well, why would I do that? The beaches are perfectly clean. Well, the reason the beaches are perfectly clean is that the minions come out at night and clean the beaches, right?
Yeah.
And it's right there along the front is clean. But
Right.
on the outside of that, there's heaps of garbage, could be 6 feet high. And off Tofino, on some of the islands, we have garbage that is 6 feet high. So all I think of when I see that is I think of these marine mammals. We see the whales. We see the whales with the ingested plastic. They've been cut open, and there's the plastic. We see these little guys with the plastic around their necks. I just for me, it's just shocking. And what you guys are doing to help is fantastic. So with the Vancouver Aquarium, they've had, I guess, some issues with I guess funding as well. So they've kind of closed down for a little while with COVID. But how are you guys faring? How are you guys faring through this whole COVID? You're able to do what you do.
So we had a number of different strategies work out. If you don't mind, I'll go back to your garbage thing, and
Sure.
Absolutely. One of things I've been very fortunate about is having the skill set I have. I've been invited to some really unique places to work, including northwestern Hawaiian Islands where nobody goes. The Aleutian Islands, I've sailed all through the across the international date line and to remote islands in the Aleutians, but there's garbage everywhere. I mean, there is very few of this idea of unaffected, pristine wildlife is not really true. We've affected everything all over our world, and but yeah, it's nice to be at least a small part of the solution for sure. And then, back to us. Early on in COVID, we were definitely in some trouble, and our aquarium did have to shut down, which meant funding. We at that point we were a private nonprofit, so we were very reliant on people coming in and paying their ticket fees, and that's what our money for all of our programs was based on. But we were lucky enough to get a big campaign going to get Marine Mammal Rescue open last year, and it opened, and people are incredibly generous, and some of our key donors especially came through for us, and And we kept the program running, which was awesome.
Right.
And then most recently for this year, we have been bought out by a larger corporation, a for-profit corporation, and they have funded us to continue through this year. So we're lucky that way as well.
Wow. Well, that's good. And I was going to ask a question about the killer whales. Everybody wants to know about the killer whales and the pods. Our pods here. Do you guys do much with the killer whales or?
So yeah,
here
again, I'm not a marine biologist.
Yeah.
I'm a veterinarian.
Yeah, right.
There's a theme, but we do get involved when there's trouble. So, for example, a couple of years ago, we had a juvenile whale named J50 that was struggling and identified. So we were part of the team that tried to administer some medications to that animal and try to figure out ways to help that animal. Just a few weeks ago, we were out providing antibiotics to a gray whale. Had an injury from a satellite tag that some U.S. research put on, but it had some nasty secondary effects. So we went and treated that animal. So yeah, absolutely, we get involved with the southern resident killer whales and the other whale species that travel our coastline as well.
And now there's that app that's just come out that so I think it's for the general public. So if I'm out, say I'm on a ferry, and I see a pod of killer whales going through Active Pass, which I've seen on multiple occasions, I think I can enter the data there. So it's a
that's our so we've had a split. So Oceanwise sold off the Vancouver Aquarium, so we no longer work for Oceanwise, but Oceanwise the killer whale research program and the whale sightings network, and they produced a really cool app, and that was my colleague, former colleague, Leonard, that came up with that, which is really great.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea. I mean, you're using, the general public to input data into really citizen science. I love it.
Yeah, we have the same sort of idea with diving networks that do surveys for different organisms. So when we had our die-off of sea stars a few years ago, that was quite involved with, that it was really citizen science that did all the kind of background number counting. So it was divers doing specific surveys and voluntarily going down and counting different species, and that's where we got all of our raw data from. I love those programs are awesome.
Wow, and it's this kind of knock-on effect too. You get the sea stars, and you get this. The Japanese call it uni, sea urchins. Where if they have die-offs, then you lose because they're the food for the sea otters and et cetera, and you get this massive knock-on
you get a cascade effect, exactly. So our everything out here depends on a healthy kelp forest. So if urchins overgrow, they take down the kelp, which has an incredibly nasty effect all the way down. But if you lose your predators of urchins, including sea otters and some other species, then urchins overgrow, kelp goes down, everything crashes. It's all very, very connected.
Wow.
You can't take a piece out of that connection without.
No, that's right. Yeah,
collapsing.
It's extremely sensitive there. Sorry, did you have a question there?
Yeah, we got a fan question from username Quinoa13 here. Thank you so much for the question.
Oh, I know that guy. No, it is.
The question is, what's the most memorable moment you have had with an animal or rescue?
Oh, that's good.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so I've got a few factors going against me on this question. Number one, I'm quite old and forgetful, so I forget things. Number two, I've had so many awesome experiences. I'll tell you the closest I came to dying. That one. When I was in San Francisco, and I was working for the Marine Mammal Center, which is the largest marine mammal rescue center in the world. I also worked on the weekends with the San Francisco Zoo, and also, if they had anything special going on, they'd invite me over to go, and participate. If we had anything big going on, we'd invite their vet staff and vice versa. So what they wanted to do was dart all the bison that were living in a big park in downtown San Francisco that were part of the zoo, and so it's time to anesthetize them, get their physical exams done, blood samples, tuberculin testing, that sort of stuff done. So they invite the new guy along, and my job was to kind of watch the recovering bison as the next bison was darted. So I was sitting there and propped up against a tree and happy and just watching this bison wake up, no problem, doing my records. All of a sudden, I hear Marty like just scream across the thing. I look up, and the bison that they had just darted, instead of going down, went into this crazy excitatory phase that they sometimes do, and it just started charging. And the first thing it saw was me just sitting there, and so all I got a glimpse of as I turned was the reflection of me in its eyes with its head down, ready to kill me. So all I did was just sort of bounce behind the tree I was propped at, and this thing just like whooshed by me. And I still remember that, and it was like heart pounding. But I guess right now the best part of that story is I knew I was alive, but what everybody else saw was me at the tree, the bison, and then me not anywhere near. So the rest of the team was like, oh my God, he's dead. We've just killed him. And, if it was me on the other side, I'd be like, oh, the paperwork, right? I mean, that's going to take me forever. So, like, they just come slowly, right? Like, like obvious panic in everyone's eyes, but they're like, and then I'm just sitting there by the tree, and they're like, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm good, man. So that one comes to mind. I just related that to somebody else a while ago, so that story comes to mind. And it's not a marine mammal story; it's a bison story, but it does stick out for sure.
I got to tell you, a lot of those people that you worked with in California. So you did an interview for us about a year ago for our little True Beach blog, and we posted it, right? I got all these people in California that you worked with. Oh yeah, Marty, da da da. Oh, he's like the nicest guy. He's incredible. Oh no, that's not wrong like guy. It was just like it was funny. It was like all this stuff was just coming in. It was there must have been the people that you were working the bison with. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I worked there for almost 10 years, and yeah, it was excellent. Yeah, I loved working in California at the Marine Mammal Center and the zoo as well. That was really fun. Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. Is quinoa whatever? Got any more questions there, Deb?
That was the one.
Happy enough with that one?
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, that's good. Oh man. So like, I guess we'll wrap it up in a second here, but sure. Your typical day. So you guys have this show, this really cool show, what's it called? Wild
Pacific Rescue.
Wild Pacific Rescue, which is really, really cool. And I watch on Knowledge Network here also North Shore Rescue. So it's all they rescue all awesome. It's a great show as well. And so now we got the two shows. Now we got the Pacific with the mammals, and we got the stupid human tricks disappearing up in the mountains here.
Oh, those guys do such a good job.
And those guys are incredible. Yeah, incredible. And so what would your typical you get a call out, right? So it could be any time of the day, night, I guess. I mean, you've got something that's in distress. So what's your typical so you guys, where do you guys meet? Where do you congregate before you realize you have to head out? So what's a typical day or evening like for?
Well, I suppose what I usually tell people is one of the cool parts of my job is there is no typical day. I can wake up and the whole day changes. So today I woke up and we have a really critical animal at our rescue center, an adult female harbor seal that was hit by a boat prop, so a massive head injury. I'm not sure she'll survive, but she's also pregnant, so now we have this whole kind of scenario going, and she's near term, so that'll be a big day tomorrow. Just planning the procedure for that. We also unfortunately have a very critical older sea lion at the aquarium that has cancer, so that we just found out, so we're dealing with her. That'll be another issue tomorrow. And then a friend of mine from Hong Kong called me about 10 minutes before this, and he wants me to do a TEDx interview from Hong Kong, but a pre-interview tonight at 9. So I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that's what we're doing. And in between that, I've got a Zoom call for HR because we have to hire someone, and then I've got expense reports and all that kind of stuff. It's still a job at the end of the day,
But you got to practice your guitar in there somewhere too. You got to do your 10 minutes of guitar strumming.
I suppose if I did practice, I'd be better. But it seems a lot more fun just to wait for a week and learn slide guitar Led Zeppelin last night with John.
Ooh, you're doing some slide. Nice.
That was my first slide lesson. Yeah, and we started with In My Time of Dying.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice.
I got it. What he's trying to say about that, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If he comes to me and says we got to practice that one, then we got to be suspicious of him, right? Yeah. we have a common guitar coach, Marty and myself, and Devin.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and kudos to
So
John
it's
Stiver. He's awesome.
Yeah, John
Great.
Stivers, he's awesome. He puts us all together, and he's behind the scenes on our show here too, making sure it gets out. And so
Shout out John Stiver.
shout out the first time we've ever done a shout out for him.
Oh, really? Oh, no. We
Yeah,
have to do
shout
more
out
of those.
for Johnny. Yeah,
He's so phenomenal. And I go, well, do you know the solo from Maybe I'm Amazed? And he goes, yeah.
Yep.
Here it is. I'm like, well, how do you know that?
I know. I know.
I mean, he taught me, and I can't remember it 3 months later. Like, how do you know that?
I know. I used to have the old big camcorder thing, and I said, okay, stop. I'm going to record that. So I've got like so much of him, playing little riffs and things over the years. And, but it's just, there's just so much.
Yeah.
So much in his head. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's an absolutely great natural musician. Yeah, it's nutty. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah. Devin's got more talent. Devin's got, but you drum and play the bass and
wow.
Yeah, and now the piano and stuff like that. But So well, thanks so much, Marty. And I guess we'll wrap it up on that because I know you're busy there, and really appreciate it.
Well, thanks. It was
coming
great
on
hanging out
here.
with you guys, and thanks for being.
Yeah, we got to get together in real life for a coffee or a beer sometime too with John.
I'm always up for that.
Johnny, maybe we'll bring our guitars or.
Oh no! Don't
no,
the,
yeah, I know. Yeah,
you
exactly.
can bring your guitars.
Yeah, air guitar, like we used to do.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
Dev. I guess
I think we're going to wrap it up with that. Thank you so much for being on the show. If you guys want to learn more about Marty, we're going to put those links in the description. Definitely check out Wild Pacific Rescue. Other than that, thank you so much for coming on. We had a great time today. People are going to love that. Fan question was amazing. So thank you for being on. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Marty. Appreciate it.
Bye from no. It's awesome.